Welcome back with Self-Love by Sarah podcast. This is Making Goodness Attractive. And I'm so excited about today's episode because today I'm here with my mama, Mama
Hi,
Jill.
baby.
This is going to be the last episode with Making Goodness Attractive with females. So I figured what a perfect way to end this. So I'm so excited to have you.
Me too.
Today's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be emotional or what route we're going here, but I'm excited to have you. And why don't you introduce yourself? Let everybody know who you are.
Well, I'm Jill Vaza, obviously, and Sarah's mom. And I'm so excited to be here too. I feel really blessed to be here with you. I'm already feeling emotional.
Yeah.
So I currently own a skincare company, Nia Naturals. But my backstory is I'm a mom of 4 children. Sarah's my oldest. I have Deanne, Lewis, and Trevor. So 2 girls, 2 boys. Going way back? Are we going way back?
Well, let's start by saying that my mom is the manufacturer of Sagar Beauty. So let's give her a round of applause because she's the one that got me started with that and, you know, continues to push me there. But yeah, let's dive a little deep. Let's go back to, you know, Making Goodness Attractive is just about, you know, the love, the leading with love, where I've started. And you're a big part of that. So you are the reason. You all always ask me how I push forward and how I keep, you know, persevering and all of that. I think that's really what this podcast has been all about, the people that inspire me. My mom being the most important one here. She's the one that has taught me how to push forward and move forward at, you know, whatever pace you are at life and whatever you're going through. You know, you can always just continue to fight. And I think that's really important. And yeah, let's talk about your backstory a little bit because, I mean, it goes way back.
Yeah, it sure does. It sure does. So, I mean, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I mean, your grandpa, my father, he owned his own business. My mom helped him. They started at a very young age. So I think entrepreneurship and leadership is in our family. I feel like it's like on a DNA level for me, per se. Then when my parents split up, my mom owned a luncheonette. And I used to go to the luncheonette with her at like 4:30 in the morning before I went to school. I was in high school then. I was in middle school now that I think about it. And so I learned at an early age what hard work is. I learned that nothing in life comes easy. As much as you can manifest in the law of attraction, at the end of the day, you still got to do the hard work. People forget that part. You know, they think that we can just dream, and you got to put the work in. You got to put the nit and gritty in. And then forwarding, I got obviously married very young, 19. Then I had you. I was about 21 when I had you, and then your sister, your brother, and brothers. And then about at 28, 29 years old, I became a single mom.
Yeah. So you had all 4 kids before 28.
Yeah.
28,
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3. There's, you know, 4 of you and you're only 7 years apart. So
not to mention there was one in the middle between me
and
Deanne.
There was one. I lost a child at 7.5 months. Yeah. So pregnant. I was 7.5 months pregnant. So yeah. Yeah, and that was a hardship. I mean, obviously, that's hard. But we push forward. You know, as you said, you got to pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and that's like my motto in life. Just and you got to keep it moving. So yeah, at 28, 29 years old, single mom. Yeah, it was tough. That was definitely tough. But I mean, I think I just tried to again just move it forward. And I did not have a lot of money. As you know, we did not have a lot of money at all. Yeah, we were pretty broke.
Yeah.
I left the house. I left the marital home and took all 4 kids. It wasn't a good situation at the time. Much better now, so I don't want to, put anybody down. But yeah, much better now. But at the time, it was a bad situation. So I took the kids and left. And we moved into a place in Middletown, that had cockroaches. I hate saying it, but
No, yeah.
it was bad. I
It
mean,
was tough.
you had to clean the floor every day with, Clorox. Otherwise, before you went to bed, you couldn't leave food out. I
Mhm.
mean, we kept it clean and it was fine, but it was a 3-bedroom apartment. At the time I wasn't even working a full-time job. So from there, I actually started my career and I had a business called
Reach for the stars.
Reach for the Stars. We're always about the moon, the stars, the heaven, the angels, the earth. That's always in my heart. So it was
Yeah, tell
called Reach.
people about that because
Yeah, it was Reach for the Stars. And again, that entrepreneur life, because it was also trying to balance my life with 4 kids.
Mhm.
If you go to work for a 9 to 5 job, it can be difficult for a single mom with 4 kids. One gets sick, one gets this. So always in that entrepreneur mindset. I worked at a place called Fit in Middletown, New York. And from there, I got my personal training degree. I'm a certified personal trainer. And I started my own business where I would go personal training to people's homes. And I had a nice clientele actually. I built it up. It was pretty good. I mean, back then I would say I probably averaged anywhere from $600 to $900 a week. And back
yeah,
then that was a decent amount of
yeah.
money.
She actually still has some of those clients.
I do.
Well,
That is funny that
yeah.
you say that.
Well,
Yeah.
one of them.
One of them. Well, yeah. And now I do other,
Yeah.
do other things with her. Yeah. That's funny that you say that. They're
Mhm.
great. Yeah. They're a great couple. And a lot of them are still friends too.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah. So I did that. And, um, and then of course you have to pay for daycare
Yep.
for 4 kids, which
Yep.
was astronomical. So I worked another job to pay for daycare. So I would work in the evenings and I would wait table. Thank God I had grandma,
Mhm.
my mom, to help me with that. So she would come in the evenings, babysit, and like Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and then sometimes on Sundays.
Yeah, because we were with you pretty much full time.
At that time.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It was definitely yeah. And I wasn't getting any child support or very little at that time too. So yeah, so I worked another job. So it was really, and people say like people always ask me, how did you do it? I'm like, I don't know. I just did it. I knew it had to be done, and I just did it. I didn't feel like I felt sorry for myself because I feel like I was creating a good life and a good environment for my kids.
Yeah.
So I mean, people call me Mama Jill for a reason, right?
Mhm.
The mama bear in me was just like this is how it has to go down, and we did it, and we used to have like a lot of fun,
Yeah,
we
that was
had
going to be my next thing. Like I feel like today mothers and people our age, we feel like we have to kind of always do the most extravagant things with our children and fun. And one thing she taught me was it's just the small little things, like, whether we went camping in our backyard or, my grandmother had lots of property and just doing like little things there. And, you were just so magical in that way. And so was grandma. So, just again, like, I think for me too, it's like I'm always trying to think of like, where can I take Graham for the weekend or like some, I don't know, theme park or this or that. You're always thinking to do. And we didn't have a lot of money, so our vacations were going to like campgrounds and
yeah.
whatever the heck it could be. Like it wasn't these big extravagant things. It was the small, simple stuff that made it so much fun and magical for us. And I think that's what we forget as parents and, because life can be so extravagant anymore. So you just kept it really simple for us, which was like, again, so magical.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I did love that. I mean, and it was so funny, like you say. I mean, I would do dinner and then we'd go dancing, and it was right in our
Dancing in our
house,
living room.
in our living room. Yeah, I would set up the table, with like candles and we didn't have much money. I think you and I were talking about it the other night. It was like macaroni and cheese because you could get them Kraft macaroni and cheese,
Yeah.
3 for $1.
Yeah.
So, and then sometimes, just get a little turkey and throw it in, and there you go. It was like your homemade hamburger helper.
Yeah.
So we ate that quite a bit. Pasta was a big staple in the house because you could get that for cheap.
Yeah.
And then, and then so we'd set up the table, and then we'd go in, and I'd have a strobe light or something. We'd go dancing and have fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I never sweat the small stuff either,
Or the big stuff, you mean?
Yeah, never. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Yeah. Never sweat the big stuff. The kids would go, or even this. I just let them go rollerblading in the house.
Yeah, we would like rollerblade up and down in the hallways. Like it was just so fun. And I feel like for you, it was the hardest time. Like for me right now, it's kind of like I feel like I'm right now in that same place that you were, and it's like how do you keep that poker face in front of your kids and keep the smile and keep pushing through and, try to make it special for your kids kind of when you feel like you're dying inside. And I'm sure there was a long time of that going on for you, of the struggle,
Yeah.
and you've always, and I don't remember seeing you struggle.
That's so funny you say that because.
Listen, I mean, there was points of I remember things, but I never saw, really you breaking down.
Well, when I did, I think that's when you would always step in because, 4 kids, sometimes they'd be crazy, especially the boys and everything else. And they'd be fighting. And I can remember one time, actually, this is like a little emotional and I feel bad for you, but I was in the bathroom crying. I locked myself in the bathroom. I was like, I just need to run. I was crying. And I could hear Sarah going, guys, Mommy's crying. We made her cry. Everybody needs to stop. Do you remember that?
No.
No, that's funny. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had to step up as a young girl, and I think that's the hard, for me, it's like I had to grow up fast. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which is just what it was. It's just what was in the cards for me. I had to take on like a role or a position really earlier on and kind of not lose my childhood because you always made it magical. And we always had the old days and that fun, magical, like, we played outside. So I didn't lose that, but, I had to be a protector and, my position and my role wasn't so much like a child. It was like a big girl.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, there was one child in diapers. Trevor was in diapers.
Mm-hmm.
Lewis was like probably potty training at the time. So, yeah, and it would be like, Sarah, watch the baby. Sarah, can you help me?
Yeah.
Sarah, can you help me? And, and Deanne, God bless her. Deanne just always did her own thing. She just blocked everybody out. So poor Sarah, she was like the reliable one at that time. So, yeah, you did get called a lot. So thank you for that.
Always. And it leads, I think that's why it leads to my leadership in life, it kind of just poured into every area of my life, and I think that's kind of, I think that we take our traumas and stuff and sometimes people just don't know how to shift it into like, it really made me that better person. I think people like to hold on to the traumas being like, oh, the bad. But, all those tough things in life made you better, made me better, made us all better. I think all of your babies, all of my siblings are very strong.
Yeah.
Well,
I think one of the things that I always instilled in you is you had 72 hours. It was a 72, you were allowed to cry. You were allowed to not get out of bed, 72 hours. And then you got to pick yourself up. Like I always say, brush yourself off and you got to keep it moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. I guess it's different. People do things differently now, but I was tough. On the other end, I was very tough too when it came to stuff like that and structure and making sure stuff got done. We had to, but we weren't perfect.
Yeah.
And that was another thing I always used to say to you guys is, listen, you guys didn't come with a handbook. Right. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out too. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's okay to humble yourself and be like, listen, I don't know what we're doing, but we're going to do this together. And the thing I would always say is we're going to be fine.
Right.
That I can guarantee you at the end of the day. Because they're all different too. Every kid comes, with a different set of handbooks. But here we are and we'll figure it out and we'll be fine. I think it's so important to tell kids that you're going to be fine. You want to touch base on their emotions, but, we all want to validate each other's emotions. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just want to be heard and know that it's okay. You're going to be okay. Yeah. We're going to be okay. We're in this together.
Not to be okay, but, you just got to pick up from where you left off. That's really it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Mm-hmm. So why don't we talk about a little bit my favorite story. We touched on it last night when she asked me what we're going to talk about. Let's talk about the awesome pivotal point after the cockroach house to the fact how you pushed through, saved up money, moved into this house. I think that story is actually funny and we talked about it. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's tell that story about buying your first home as like a
Yeah.
single mom and what that was like and how that went, because that was a funny story.
So I do believe in manifesting. I believe that if you put your heart, your soul, your mind, your goal, your dreams, and it almost comes from like a DNA level, that if you want something so bad that you really can manifest it. So I definitely manifested a house. I knew I was going to get into this house. I gave it a date. I think I was a little past the date, but I worked all these jobs. I saved some money, and back then we're talking like maybe what, early 90s.
90s,
Yeah,
yeah.
you could buy a house in Middletown, New York for like in the $60,000 range, believe it or not, like 65, 60. So that's and I had told my realtor, I hired a realtor. God rest her soul, she's dead now, but her she's passed, but her name was Maureen Nadeau. And if anybody knows Maureen, she was like very hot. She used to drive this convertible and she used to pick me up and we'd go looking for houses and in my price range. And we looked and we looked and we looked. And then finally one day she calls me up. She's taking me out and she goes, I know this house, this one particular house is a little out of your price range, but I think they'll negotiate because it's vacant. Um, and the night before she had picked me up, I had this dream about this yellow bathroom. Odd, like a yellow bathroom. So as we're walking, she brings me up to this house, and it was like in the $90,000 range. I think it was like 95. And she brings me up to this house and had a big front porch. And as we're walking up the stairs, I actually held her, I grabbed her arm and I said, Maureen, this is the house. Like I knew it. We walk in the door and it had like this big living room with a fireplace and a staircase that went up. It was an older house.
Like Victorian.
Victorian, right. It had a big dining room with stained glass windows. I mean, it was gorgeous. It was pretty. And it had 4 bedrooms, 1.5 baths. It was like perfect. I walked up the stairs and sure enough, there was a yellow, the tiles were actually yellow and black. It was crazy. And I was like, this is it. I said, I have to put in a bid. So I did. I put it in for a little less. They accepted it. We came to like, and so of course I owned my own personal training business at the time. And I hadn't been in business for 3 years or whatever it was. And I needed a bigger deposit instead of I said, I can manage 9. I'm thinking in my head back then you could do 10%. And they were like, no, we need more money. And it was like 12,000 or something. So I write and I'm like, okay, no problem. I write out a check for the $12,700 and sure enough, it bounced. I mean, you can't, there's only so much you can pull, but the bank actually back then, I had a rapport with the bank and they called me up and they were like, Ms. Zaza, and I was like, just give me a couple days. Give me 3 days. I will get the money. I sold furniture. I sold like pretty much everything but my children to get this house. Jewelry, rugs. And I think my mom let me, a few $1,000s. And sure enough, we got this house. We go to closing. The house was owned by a few different realtors. And one of the realtors didn't have certain paperwork or this and that. Now I have my kids all packed up. We're out. We're out of the cockroach house. We're packed up. We're ready to go. Trucks packed, furniture's packed. Kids were like at my mom's house waiting to get to the new house. And they were like, we can't close today. I'm like, you're kidding me. So I drove over there. I grabbed the kids, drove over, and I pushed one of my children through. Somehow I figured out, I don't think I broke a window or anything, but somehow it's like a blank. When you're in that like flight or fight mode, like I was just going to fight and I was mom bear. I had to get my kids home. We got into the house. I put my son in through the window, or brother.
Like, go unlock the door.
And go unlock the door for the rest of us, honey. And sure enough, he does. And we all just moved into the house like squatters. Now, don't do that today, people.
Yeah,
you would
be arrested.
But sure enough, we moved in. I actually started renovating the house. And then one of the realtors drove past the house and calls up Maureen, my realtor. And they're like, Maureen, there's cats, there's kids, there's dogs. They're like,
lights are on.
The lights are, what's going on? Yeah, that's the other thing. I put the electricity in my name already. Like it was a move-in situation. So she calls me up. She's like, Jill, I said, Maureen, I had no place to go. And this is their fault, not mine. So they could charge me rent, they could do whatever, but we're here and we're not leaving. Figure it out. That was it. So
I love that.
But I knew I was getting that house, come hell or high water.
Talking about figuring it out, right?
Figuring it out. You just did what you had to do.
Yeah.
And I never even told the kids. They were just like, oh, we love our
new home.
Yeah, that was it.
We had fun. Fun. So fast forward. We lived there for a couple years.
Yeah.
I went to Middletown. I got into some trouble. We had to get out of Middletown.
Yeah, Middletown, once Sarah got into middle school, was not very good.
No.
I had to pull her out. That was another thing. I would walk through the halls if I had to. One time, they kept calling me and saying she wasn't going to class. I said, "Oh, she'll go to class. Mark my words." I went into school and I would walk her from class to class to class. To get you to class. And then finally.
one time you caught me making out with some kid underneath the stairs.
And I was like,
grade.
Yeah, that's it. She's done. We are out. We're out of Middletown. And you went and lived with Grandma for a little bit while I looked for another house over in Valley Central. And then I met my second husband. Something about 9 years, 9 months. I think I give it my all. I'm like, wait a minute, this might not be working, but let me try a little longer anyway. 9 years, 9 months later, second divorce, number 2.
Yeah.
So that was we lived in Bloomingburg. We had lots of land. I mean, that was fun too.
Campfires.
Renovating another house. Oh my gosh, with all those people in it. But yeah.
Yep. 4-wheelers. Yeah. 3-wheelers. Bonfires.
A lot of camping.
A lot of friends. That was a good time in my life as far as just the friends and I loved being outside and the 4-wheelers, and it was just so fun.
Yeah. That was a domestic, I'll say it, but that was a domestic violence situation. So yeah. We're definitely survivors, both of us, because unfortunately, if you're a survivor, your kids are survivors, So anyway, but now I'm remarried for the third time. But it took 16 years being with him for 16 years, and then finally got married.
Yeah.
But,
They actually just recently got married. They did a surprise wedding over. She lives in Amelia Island, Florida, right now. So they did a surprise wedding for her 60th birthday.
Yeah.
And that was fun. So
I said, we're going to have a 60th birthday and have a wedding breakout.
Yeah.
So the element of surprise.
Glad you waited that long to figure it out.
And he's a good guy. So yeah.
I love him.
And now it's just a matter, business. I mean, I love that. I get to work with you. Oh, and then we had, we also had Heaven on Wheels. I don't know if everybody knows all about Heaven on Wheels.
Most of my followers do, I think, for the most part. But so what was that? 2011? Yeah, 2011. Okay. We started our first business together, which was a mobile salon and spa. Or should I say spa and salon? Because it was a spa first.
And I had started it, and then you jumped on board. Yeah.
Yep. And we just traveled. We traveled everywhere. I did a lot of weddings. Mom did a lot of
spa parties.
Whether it was a holiday party or a bridal situation.
Right.
But we would go to people's houses and we would go and do little parties. That was fun. You actually did one this weekend.
I did. It was fun for 9 women.
Did it make you want to get back into it? Or
no. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's physically a lot of work on my body, carrying all the equipment in. But at one time we would have sometimes 3 to 5 parties going out on a weekend. At least a good weekend. Yeah. She would do a few bars. And we had a team of almost 11 girls at one time. I counted.
That was fun.
And that was kind of on per diem. We'd call them up. Can you work? And they'd come. And we had a great team. I mean, everybody was really supportive. We did an event up in Watertown for the military.
Yep,
that was fun. We had a 20-foot
so we had a old Snap-on truck that we gutted out and renovated and made a salon and spa. So it had a sink in it so I can do the hair part. And then, it looked like you can come in and sit and
we wrapped it.
And when we just drove that thing around, that thing was a beast.
It was a beast.
It was old.
I was
she
terrified.
wouldn't even let me drive it.
No.
Because it had What was the steering like?
It was just so bouncy. Like you literally had to like 10 and 2. Like you had to hold it. You couldn't even drink coffee. It would bounce all over the road. And it had a big tailgate on the back. So it made it like
because it had a lift gate.
Yeah, lift gate that would come down. It was so heavy. So yeah.
I mean, how many feet was it?
It was 21 foot.
Yeah.
21 foot box truck.
It was so big.
It was pretty badass.
But it was so fun. It was so fun. We did a lot of like shows and went and did a lot of events. It was good.
Wedding events.
Yeah. How many years did we have that?
It had to be 3 years. The insurance was kind of expensive. And then it broke down one time on the highway, and the towing was $900 because it broke down, of course, on a Sunday.
Well, because that's when we worked weekends.
Yeah, weekends. So it broke down on the New York State Thruway, and I could only get like one company, Alvoc, out in Walden, to come pick up the car, to come pick it up and tow it, and it was for like a $10 part. So I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was it became like more of us doing events inside of people's houses. Like we weren't even using the truck. We were using the truck for storage and to bring things. But we were really just going in people's homes at that point.
Yeah.
So
we didn't need it.
We didn't really need it anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And then I opened up the salon. You started a warehouse and with all your skincare.
Right.
We kind of just not parted ways, obviously, but we kind of did our own thing, and then we came back together with Nia and Sagra. Why don't you touch on that, on how, we were going to go partners with Nia.
Right.
And then she decided that...
Listen, as much as we love each other, sometimes we are both a little alpha.
Yes, very. And so, like, my outlook on Sagra was way different than what Nia is.
Correct.
So I think that we just decided that, hey, or you decided, like, let me just manufacture your products. Let me, make you what you want. My, vision was definitely a little bit more higher end, bougie, or as you say, like our like who buys Nia and who buys Sagra, people are different.
Well, that's huge, yeah. And anybody who wants to start any kind of business like that, or any business in general, I think that's a huge point, is you have to figure out who your customer base is, like even with Angels. Your customer base is different than some other salons customer base would be. So I think that that's an important tip. For anybody who's starting a business, you got to figure out who your people are.
Right.
Yeah,
and
I actually like write it down. A Nia woman is this, and they shop here, and they do this.
They wear this, and
they wear this. They mine are like they go to farmers markets, and that's my kind of clientele. And yours is a little different. They might go shopping at Saks Fifth Avenue on the weekends.
So after we sat down and kind of figured that out, we were like, well, maybe this isn't gonna work, but let me just then therefore make you your products.
And I love it. It's fun. Yeah.
So why don't we talk a little bit about like your holistic background, because that's really big. It's really taught me a lot, and I feel like it has made me who I am. And a lot of my people love you for it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So that all started with your brother being sick. I was married to your dad at the time, Sarah's dad, and my son Lewis was in the hospital, and he had bronchitis. He couldn't get better. He was like 8 months old, and I was already leaning towards holistic ways and whatnot. Anyway, I was studying some herbology. And at one point, this is another just tenacious thing to do. I was sick. I was sick of him. I was sick and tired of him being in the hospital and so forth. So he
was on like nebulizers.
Oh, nebulizers. He's in it was
incubator.
Terrible. In an incubator one time. Yeah. And I was just done. I said, I'm not giving him any more medicine. And they wanted to, Anyway, so I packed up the car. I found a campground up in Maine on an island.
That's how we like to camp, right?
On an island. I packed up tents. Actually, they had platforms, so I was off the ground, thank God. But anyway, I think actually they had the tents there. I could rent the tent. And that was it. I packed up a car with all the kids. Lewis was a baby. I might have been pregnant with Trevor, maybe not. I was always pregnant with, or I just had. But regardless, Lewis was little. We might not have had Trevor yet. But anyway, so and that was it. I went camp. I took them away from all this environment for 1 month. I fed him herbs out of a bottle, And the kid has never been sick. Matter of fact, he just won a like major tournament and the kid is like an ox. So
Truly.
he's a young man now. The man is like built like a bull and has never been sick a day in his life. So, I mean, that was a huge challenge too. And thank God I had a girlfriend and her parents that were there too. And, but yeah, for a whole entire month, I took the kids up to Maine and camped with them. And yeah, they were all pretty young. You must have been like 6.
Yeah.
Dan must have been like 3 or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what started like
my whole holistic, back. I said I just knew Mother Nature can do whatever we need to do. Not that there isn't a place for other, for Western culture too, but I really do believe that that we can heal ourselves. We can heal ourselves mentally, and again, it's also that I just knew I was going to heal him. I'm like, I am going to heal this child. And that was it. I think it's mindset. I think it's just, having the way worth to do it too. So, and I love that. So, and it's funny. It's also an instinct thing. I think instinctively, I think one of the things on a mother level that I feel like unfortunately, women are kind of stuck nowadays with all this technology that you're looking like. Of course, I didn't have a website. I mean, website. I didn't have internet, or anything else to go to. So I had to instinctively. I mean, I researched it via books, but I had to instinctively just try to figure out what to do. And I feel like that's something that unfortunately
mothers have.
You have, but you don't use it because you go onto these mommy sites and this and that and think everybody else is going to know your child. And I've always told that, even you, or if my daughter-in-laws call me up, they're like, Mama, what do you think I should do? I'm like, this is what I feel that you should do. And I usually go into my intuition, I call it, right? But I always say to you, but you're the mother. You will know better. You do eventually know better than because you're
Doctors
the mommy.
Yeah.
You know what's best for your children.
Yeah.
And each one's different. Again, so I think
then with
that's
that,
a huge thing.
I just feel like with that, you totally just, it's helped me with Graham and his allergies. You've helped, just kind of all of us. I told you, like, you need to start writing like a little book. So I have. The other day she told me that you have 1 million journals and I cannot read any of them.
Any of them when I die. They all have to be burned.
No, but
you can ceremoniously burn them.
You have to write all those down because it's just so beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
I'm super grateful for it.
Oh,
yeah. Well, I have a few questions, and I want this is the Making Goodness Attractive. Self-love has always been huge. Self-love Sarah podcast. So, what is your self-love is going to look way different than I think a lot of the other girls have answered. And what does self-love look like to you?
My self-love, for myself, I think it's just that's a funny question, huh? I mean, I guess I think it's really one day at a time. And it's different now than what it would have been when I was younger, so my self-love at this point is to not, and as much as I believe in running after the dream, it's also living in the moment.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't live in the moment, and I've really learned to appreciate and live in gratitude, and I've always been, a lot of my journals are gratitude journals. Just taking like the little simple things in life and being grateful for them. So that's my self-love, is just looking. And I think we also beat ourselves up a lot. I'm one of those people that do that to myself. I would never harm or another human being. I don't even add little animals. I'll bring them outside and nurture them. But myself, my own self-talk, I have to keep it in check. Even at my age. So I think that's one of the things that I work on personally for my own self-love. Our bodies are this or that. Women are really rough on ourselves, but yet we'll speak so kindly to everybody else but ourselves. So I think that that's one of the things that I would strongly recommend to everybody is just take it down a notch, and just look at yourself and give gratitude for it. Like, even if you just made it through this first hour and you did something well, but we're always looking and catching up and trying to do better and, and not enjoying the moment. So I think that's my self-love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Obviously take care of yourself and do all that jazz. That goes, but just those little things and just being appreciative of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thankful for, whatever it is. that I got up this morning.
Mhm.
Sometimes just getting out of bed can be
Yeah.
rough,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
And just be thankful for that. You did a good job.
Yeah.
Good job. You got out of bed. You did good today.
Well, I'm so grateful for you. I love
I'm
you.
going to cry.
You taught me everything I know. Okay. And these people here, they watch it, they look at it every day, and you're the reason. So
I love you.
we love you.
I love you so
I
much.
love you too. Well, guys, that's a wrap. Whew. I hope you guys like this series. It was really special to me. Again, the next couple weeks are going to bring on men that I have always looked up to or look up to now, and that inspire me to making this life good and making it look good on all our struggles and all our trials and tribulations. It's not easy, and we just have to continue to push through. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. I love you.
We love you.
Mwah.
Mwah. Bye, guys.